Welcome to Oklahoma Office Hours. This is where you can spend a little bit of time in Oklahoma before you actually decide to move here. So I'm Marcie. I'm an Oklahoma realtor and lifelong resident. And on this show, we talk honestly about what life here is actually like neighborhoods and the home buying process and tornadoes and weird weather and hidden pros and cons that you may not figure out until you actually move here. So today, let's see. If you're joining live, you can ask questions, and I want you to ask questions. So please put those in the comment box for us. And I'll definitely answer them throughout this show. I am not here to hype Oklahoma up. I'm here to help you understand it. So let's talk about it. Like I said, if you have questions, but if you are here and you want to tell us where you're from, then I really want to know where you're from because I like to know who I'm talking to as I make these. So, and if you didn't know, you can actually listen to this on podcasts, like a podcast version, like YouTube, of course. But you can also do Apple Podcast or Spotify. I upload these episodes there typically on Friday mornings just for you so that you can listen in the car or walking or whatever you do. I don't drive very much, so, I walk a lot and listen, but that's just me. I have some really fun stuff to talk about today with jobs. I get the job question so much about Oklahoma. Like, where do people work? What do people do? Well, I have the answers for you. Okay, one thing I'm going to mention before I get any further is that, first of all, it's 7 p.m., which is like cat playtime, right? I have 2 cats, one of which couldn't care less what I do. The other one wants to play 24/7. So they may play back here, right there. The door is shut because I have these cat things that keep them half open. So just FYI, you're going to see them back and forth and you may hear them meow because they're like, "Mom, what are you doing?" It's time to not work, even though I've been playing with them all day. So before I jump into the job thing, I'm going to mention the weird weather here really quick. And the reason I want to mention it is because today we had some really weird weather. So the way that my office is set up here, you can see my books and stuff behind me, a couple of my art things that I like, plants. In front of me is my window. And I knew it was going to rain. I knew that it was going to rain today. I understood that. I did not know that it was going to be a hurricane. Like it the wind blew it was raining sideways. It was raining sideways. I did take some video. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, you can find me. Literally, it's just my name. It's really easy to find me. There's not very many of Marcie Billins in the world. So I did post some of that because I was just like, what is happening? I just didn't know it was going to be like that. It did lightning. I love the storms, the lightning storms. If you haven't experienced a storm on the plains, like where Oklahoma is, then I don't think you've experienced life because I think it's just a very powerful situation. I think it's beautiful, but that is me. And sometimes, yes, they are destructive. Apparently, the other night, what was it? Not last night, but the night before, we had a storm. I didn't know it was going to storm. And I went to sleep. All of our phones went off at 1:15 in the morning. Everyone in town, we were all talking about it the next day. And my phone went off for sure because I saw the emergency broadcast, but I did not see that. And I did not hear it and I did not wake up. So thank goodness it wasn't too crazy. I know that some people got some trees blown over. One person in our neighborhood had a hole in their roof. It was bad. So we were very lucky that it didn't happen. I also know there was a couple of lightning strikes in our neighborhood, which I'm super glad didn't happen to us because it happened to us last year. It was really annoying. I just now replaced everything from that lightning strike. So that was fun. So I'm going to move on to jobs here because that is the title of the show. today, the episode, and I think it's really important and people ask me about it a lot, like I said. So I have some questions for us to answer, to walk through, to kind of figure out like, what is the job situation here in Oklahoma? So the first question I have laid out for us, are there actually good jobs in Oklahoma, or is it only oil and gas? A lot of times Oklahoma gets associated with oil and gas. A lot of that is because like Tulsa was the oil and gas capital of the world for, I don't know, a few decades or something like that. But this is a diversification question, and people assume that we are a one industry state. So no, we are not actually one industry. We are diversified. The one that the industry I notice the most as an Oklahoma resident, and I live in Norman, Oklahoma. I notice aerospace. That is the thing that I notice the most. And one of the reasons for that is I can see the AWACS planes flying. A lot of times they fly on the weekends, but maybe I'm just noticing it then. I'm not sure. So I see those. I see some of the bombers. We have Tinker Air Force Base here, and it's the air depot for a bomber and then the AWACS. And then I also live like across a main road from our regional airport. So a lot of people keep their planes there, which is fun. I think it's fun because so I grew up next to a regional airport whenever I lived in Claremore as well. And it was always like cool to watch the planes take off. And at one point we had like people, that like danced on the wings of the old biplane. Like it was crazy. So I always thought it was cool. I think it's fun to watch them. And so the the students from OU, that's where they learn to fly. So that's fun. You can see all their planes stacked out there whenever we drive by. And then Norman Public Schools just built their new building. It's almost done. They are working so incredibly fast on it because they also have a flight school program. I don't know what it entails exactly. I know that there is some accelerated version of the FAA, like flight, what are they called? Like flight controllers? I don't know. I don't know the name of them, but I know that it's a really hard school to get through with like all the tests and stuff. So that's one thing they're trying to expedite for people because we need people to work in aerospace. So that's going on. So that's just Norman itself and the stuff that I noticed with aerospace, right? Like I think it's amazing. I see some people complain about the noise. I think those people are silly. I'm just going to say it. Like there's no reason to complain. We all have to fly typically at some point, whether it's us or like one of our relatives or whatever, and like I don't know. I just think it's important that we have that. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay. So we have aerospace. Another huge opportunity here in Oklahoma has been healthcare. And so I have like kind of these notes. There's a few really good websites about like different jobs, like moving to Oklahoma City. Of course, I have lots of videos both on this channel and on my regular living in Oklahoma channel as well. So OU Health is one. Of course, I live in Norman, but OU Health is actually located in Oklahoma City, so it's in downtown. And then we also have Integris, 6,000 plus employees for Integris. And then like there's Marcie Hospital. Like the healthcare system is huge. The VA is huge here. The Veterans Affairs healthcare positions as well. So that like, I mean, the number of people I know in healthcare is staggering. And like I do know a lot of people. My husband used to work in healthcare and now he works for me. Yeah. So healthcare is one of them, most definitely. Another huge area of work that I see people getting into is technology, of course. So technology can be in a lot of different fields, right? Like a lot of different areas. Like working in the public school system, working at Paycom. Paycom was born here. So that's a payroll system. And then, of course, we have the energy companies, which we kind of touched on that. Like, that's not the only thing that you can do here in Oklahoma. Like, I think people think about roughnecks. So, roughnecks are the people that work out in the fields, but like work out in the oil fields. But we don't have those here, like, not close in. A lot of the roughnecks that I tangentially know, they work out in the Permian Basin, which is like Midland, Texas. So they'll live in Oklahoma and drive out there for a few weeks at a time in order to work. That's the oil field workers that I'm mostly aware of. I'm sure there are some still left in Oklahoma, but I know that a lot of that oil comes out of the Permian Basin. So other areas or other like corporations and stuff that, you know, are big here. Of course, University of Oklahoma. We talked about Integris. We talked about Paycom. And there's also OG&E, which is like one of our biggest electric companies here in the Oklahoma City metro. And then I had another one on here. Where did it go? And just left my brain, of course. We're going to go on to the next question, and it's going to come back to me. Oh, agriculture is one that, of course, it kept bringing up to me. I don't see, like, from where I stand in Norman, I don't see a ton of the ag piece anymore. I do know that beef cattle prices are ridiculously high and that ranchers are making a ton of money right now. Getting into that business is very expensive. Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up a little bit in that world, and it is an interesting thing to want to do, and it takes a lot of time. And then we have bioscience. So we're seeing a lot of that here in Oklahoma. So a lot of startups come to Oklahoma, and the reason is because taxes are super cheap and land is super cheap. So that's where they can build and grow and operate in a way that makes sense for them. Let's see. We covered healthcare, we covered government. So I'm kind of lumping government with aerospace. It's not, but it kind of is. So I don't know if you know, but the largest employer in Oklahoma is the Department of Defense. So, Tinker Air Force Base is the largest single site employer in Oklahoma, and we live rather close to it here. And a ton of people work there, not just active military and not just Air Force either. Another thing that I'm seeing is people working in manufacturing, and I think it is happening because, well, I know it's happening because of how inexpensive it is to buy land here and build here, because we have around taxes, etc. So I know that's what's going on. So another question that I get a lot of the time is like, okay, yeah, I can find a job. Cool, cool, cool. What about my salary? Is it going to be the same? No. I mean, if you're coming from Kansas, yeah, it's going to be the same. If you're coming from California, it is going to be less if you're getting a job here. So let's look at how much less. So I have this calculator. I don't know exactly how accurate it is. I'm sure it's like decently accurate, okay? But this calculator tells us like, oh, you make this much in Orange County, California. How, like, what do you need to make in Oklahoma to live the same lifestyle? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? We're going to do a few different cities, okay? Orange County, California. If you make $150,000 in Orange County, the amount that you need to make to live the same standard of life in Oklahoma City, specifically Oklahoma City, is $74,300 a year. That's 50%. Were you surprised? Probably not. Let me know. I want to know. Okay, we're going to do another city here really quick. Let's see. Of course, I'm not like doing the averages on my own. The next one I want to do, that I've seen a lot of is Houston, Texas. We get a lot of transplants from Texas. So we're going to go Houston. We're going to go 100. Whoops. Got a little crazy there with my clicking. We're going to go 150,000. So if you make $150,000 in Houston, Texas, what do you need to make in Oklahoma City to have the same standard of life? And that number is $130,500. Okay. And I'm using the 150 because it like made sense to me mathematically, if that makes sense to you. So, you can have the same standard of living in Oklahoma City that you can in Houston, Texas for 13% less, is what it's saying. Okay. Next, we're going to do, I think we're going to do Washington. Specifically, I'm going to do Eugene, I think, because I do get a lot of transplants from that area. So, oh, that's not an option. We'll do Tacoma. Okay, it's fine. We'll do Tacoma. Okay, so if you live in Tacoma, you want to move to Oklahoma City, you make $150,000 in Tacoma, and you want to know what you need to make in Oklahoma City to have the same standard of life, we are looking at $101,500. So the standard, you can have the same standard of living here in Oklahoma City for a 32.28% less than you do in Tacoma. Okay. So you can find these numbers a lot of places. This is just a really interesting calculator I have here. So that's why I wanted to tell you that. So no, you're not going to make the same amount here. Our average income is a lot less than a lot of other states. And it is cheaper. And I do find that people come here and see that, yes, it's cheap, but it's not as cheap as they thought. And everyone's just like, oh, insurance. It's not just that. Okay. It's food. It can be housing. It can be the fact that you don't make as much as you do in another place. There's a lot of things that can add up pretty quickly. So, not saying it's a bad place to live, but I just want you to be realistic with what to expect from our fair state. Okay. All right. The best paying jobs here in Oklahoma, we're looking at anesthesiologists, surgeons, petroleum engineers, corporate lawyers, that kind of thing. Oklahoma City has the highest wages in the whole of Oklahoma. We also have the most opportunity. Like Tulsa is right there too. And Tulsa is an older city, a little bit more focused on oil, but honestly not that much more focused on it. We'll talk about it a little bit. I do tend to focus on Oklahoma City, but just know that as you leave the metros, you're going to have less and less opportunity as you get into the smaller towns. Okay. So Oklahoma costs roughly 15 to 16% less than the national average. So the national average. But what I'm seeing is people coming from California. So it becomes a little bit different. Don't forget, when you have questions, I would love your questions. Drop them in the comments for me. I answer them live on the show. So I want to hear those. Can you find, this is my next question here to answer for you guys. Can you find remote work in Oklahoma, or do you already need a job lined up? Yes, you can find it. Most of the time I see people already have it lined up. And I think that makes sense. I'm not sure that you're going to find, like, if you keep your remote job on the West Coast or the East Coast or in Texas, like, you're going to make more money, like, honestly. But a lot of times Oklahoma jobs might not be remote based. It just kind of depends. So I think you need to think about that before moving here. And then you have programs like Tulsa Remote where they're going to pay you money to move to Tulsa and work remotely. So that has been a trend. Tulsa is so different than what it was when I was growing up. I am from Claremore, which is near Tulsa. So I'd go to Tulsa like at least once a month, once every 2 months. My dad went every day, and it's like all he can talk about too of how different it is than whenever he moved there in the 70s. So, something to really look at. Like, and a lot of people who come here and talk to me about moving to Oklahoma, they're like, man, I'm looking at both cities. And I say, absolutely. Like, you may like Tulsa better. You may like Oklahoma City better. It really depends on the situation. I love Oklahoma City. I wouldn't move back to Tulsa. It's just a little too close to home. You know what I mean? But one thing that drives me crazy about Oklahoma City is like, it is flat. It is flat as a pancake. Not my favorite. Tulsa's not like that. So you really have to like weigh the pros and cons for yourself, okay? Let's see. Um, what's the job market like if you're not in energy or aerospace? Okay, we kind of already answered this, but basically healthcare is huge here. Doctors, nurses, administrators, lab, it's everywhere. And then we also have tech. Paycom's a huge employer. OG&E is a huge employer. And then there's education. So here in Norman, of course, is the University of Oklahoma. They are the largest employers in Norman. And then you have the Oklahoma State University in Stillwater. Stillwater is not in a metro. It's like I think it's less than 50,000 people still at this point. It is like an hour, I think it's an hour and 15 minutes maybe outside of Tulsa. From Edmond, it's like an hour, I believe, or less. Edmond's like a really big town. So it, there's opportunity, but it's not a metro. Like you're going to have the things that you need, of course, but it's not going to be like, oh, I can easily go to a Broadway show. No, you're going to have to drive a little bit. So yeah, it just depends on like what kind of life you want to lead there. And then construction is huge here in Oklahoma. So construction, oh my gosh, Stacy, you just asked. And I just said it. That's awesome. Yes. Stacy asked, are there a lot of construction opportunities? There are. So construction actually led job growth last year in 2025. And then came the health and education services, financial, leisure, hospitality. So it was the fastest growing sector, construction was. We're definitely seeing that. And I think that feeds into the next question here, which is, sorry, I keep like moving around. But you'll live. Thank you for asking your question, Stacy. So the next question that really feeds into it, because I think that's where this construction stuff is coming from, is Oklahoma City actually growing, or is it a city that people leave? So we have actually reversed our brain drain. So brain drain is like whenever your people that are doing jobs that need extra education or whatever are leaving and going to other cities. So that has stopped. We had that problem for a long time here in Oklahoma. And now we are one of just 14 cities in the US to gain more than 100,000 new residents over the last 10 years. Yes. So that's Oklahoma City. A lot of people don't necessarily live in Oklahoma City, but it is obviously the largest city in Oklahoma. Excuse me, I did just eat a burrito right before this. So, digesting. So Oklahoma City also ended 2025 with steady job growth. So our unemployment rates tend to stay under the 4%, which is really great. 121 companies in 2025 were actively considering relocating or expanding into Oklahoma City. Great, good, fun. I'm also here to tell you the truth. Okay? Like, this is good that companies are thinking of expanding. We also see companies choose not to come here for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is education. If you didn't know, Oklahoma is 50th in the US for education. take that as you will, whatever you think about that. But it does sometimes mean that companies don't want to come here because they're afraid they won't be able to get people to come here to work, or they're going to have problems with workers themselves. Yeah. That's the thing. So there are reasons that this happens. Um, let's see. Oklahoma City has been ranked like in the top 5 or 10 um, in like cities with the hottest job markets in the United States. And with that too, the other side of that coin, when I talk to people who are looking for jobs, it's not easy. And it's not easy anywhere, I don't believe at this point. There are lots of, I think they're called ghost jobs out there where it's like they post them on Indeed or whatever. And then it's not like a real job, or they post it because they need to post it for some crazy reason. I don't know. And then it's really hard to get a call back. Like, it's not easy to get a job out there. I mean, I'm not saying that I have experience in that. I haven't had a W-2 job in more than 10 years at this point. I'm just a real estate agent all the time, every day, every second of every day, actually. And so I know from hearing that that's an issue. It's like the real jobs, okay? Another issue is the pay. I see people with master's degrees getting offered jobs that are paying $14, $16 an hour, which to me is like nuts. I don't have a master's degree, but like to have one and then that's what you're getting paid. So I want you to be realistic and know that yes, like a job is there. Is it a job that's going to be able to support you? That's kind of the question. Okay. Just want to be realistic. The commute. So you come here, you find a job. Where are you going to live? So a lot of people come here because of how our culture is with like our living situations. Okay. So our next question is, what's the commute like? Is everything spread out? Yes, everything is spread out. This place is giant and we only have 4 million people. Like every time I fly into Oklahoma City and I've stayed somewhere else, like I flew from Austin a couple of weeks ago. And Austin's like not that full of a city. I've been to Hong Kong and New York and Dubai, and those are much fuller cities in terms of population. And I've been to Delhi, which is like insane. But I get off the plane and I'm like, whoa, there's like no people here. There's no people. It's what it feels like when you get off the plane. Honest. Okay. One advantage many people don't appreciate until they experience it is time. So if you live further out, you may end up driving a bit. And it does, like, for a lot of Californians, they're like, that's fine, I can drive. And like, I get it, but you're not sitting in traffic. You are driving like 70 miles an hour driving. So it's just a different experience. So if that's what you want, then yes, you can find a great place to live. You may have to drive a little bit. It depends on your budget with like where you want to live. Like I know people that will drive from Chickasha, which is not even in the metro, all the way to Oklahoma City to work, which I think it's an hour's drive, maybe 50 minutes, just depending on where. Please know that Oklahoma City is a giant city. So like where I sit now, meaning my house in North Norman, I can get to Oklahoma City technically in like 15 minutes because Oklahoma City is huge. Like it touches the edge of Norman. But to get to downtown Oklahoma City is 25 minutes. And to get to North Oklahoma City is 35 minutes. So keep that in mind. Real talk. Where do people live and where are they working? Tinker. They typically live either in Midwest City or Choctaw or Newalla. There's parts of Oklahoma City too. So if you look at where Tinker is on a map, it is in the city of Midwest City. And it's not a giant town by any stretch. And Oklahoma City stretches all around it. What I tell people as they're looking at stuff is like, if you want if you're working at Tinker, it's very, very possible that you're going to have an address that says Oklahoma City on it and you're going to be out in the country. Because, and I just saw this like before I got on here to talk to you guys, but they call them pastoral neighborhoods because pastoral is like, the word for like countryside. And I was like, that's a really good name. They're pastoral. They're half-acre lots in these neighborhoods and they're beautiful. And they are 20 minutes from Tinker Air Force Base. So that's an option. OU workers, like people who work at OU, they do tend to live in Norman. I will say, Norman has a higher price point than other places. I do know people that live in Oklahoma City and work in Norman. It's not unheard of. It's actually pretty nice of a drive because you are going against the traffic. So typically people are driving from Norman to Oklahoma City in the mornings. So if you're driving from Oklahoma City to Norman, you're going the opposite direction. So that's very helpful. You'll find a lot of, depending on where the hospital is you're working at, but a lot of healthcare workers will live in Edmond. I mean, it's very broad. It's a very vague statement. I don't like that statement necessarily, but that's where they're working. Hobby Lobby is headquartered here. And I know a lot of them live, like a lot of the workers will live in West Oklahoma City or Yukon, Piedmont, in those areas. Know that it gets flatter the more west you go because that's how it works here on the plains, on the Great Plains. Let's see. Boeing is located near Tinker. So that's another place that people work a lot. There was another place I was going to mention. Paycom is up on the north side as well, I believe. Their main offices. So yeah, it's kind of like the life that you want to live and what your budget is. My next question. Is Norman just a college town or is there real employment? I think that's a hilarious question. Real employment? Yes, there's real employment. I see this happening a lot. People think of Norman, they're like, oh, it's just college. Like, no. We have 128,000 residents, and that's the third largest city in Oklahoma. I had someone the other day on my other YouTube channel tell me that Lawton was bigger than Norman. I was like, I think you need to go look that stuff up. No, it's not a thing. So Norman, yes, has the University of Oklahoma, but we also have Bosch. Bosch is one of our biggest employers here in our little town. I think it's number 6. And then we also have City of Norman, another huge employer. We also have Norman Public Schools. We have 2 high schools here and 3 middle schools and I want to say it's 10 elementary schools, but I can't remember the exact number. I say it in some other videos, I know. And it's growing like crazy. The University of Oklahoma has been voted one of America's best in-state employers. Talk to people. That's my advice to you. It is a great employer. I have lots of friends that work for OU, and there are definitely downsides to every job. Okay. OU Health Sciences is in Oklahoma City, but people will live here in Norman because it's like a culture thing. OU is vibrant here. The baseball team just won their national championship. I guess that's what it's called, the World Series. I don't know. Last night, I'm not a sports person, but I did watch it because my husband made me. And it's just, it's ingrained here, like this, the sports culture, being around OU, knowing people that work at OU, like it's a huge part of life. They just broke ground on the Rock Creek Entertainment District. This is super close to my house. I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's gonna help home prices quite a lot. I mean, home prices take forever to really go up a ton here in Oklahoma, but this is a really big deal. They've been saving this empty lot of land, which is basically a giant pasture for, ever. That's a 1.1 billion 270-acre mixed use development. Just broke ground last month. And a lot of people were really, really mad about it. I understand their point of being mad and why they were mad. And I think that progress is going to happen, and not everyone is going to agree on it, unfortunately. So it's projected that this project is going to generate more than 3,000 construction jobs and then permanent jobs in hospitality, retail, and operations. I am a bit concerned that a lot of those are going to be the hourly, more gig economy type of jobs. But we see that a lot here in Oklahoma as well, the gig economy. So the district is expected to create over 4,600 jobs in total, and develop more than 1,000 new homes. We in Oklahoma here we have a housing shortage. We have always had a housing shortage. It may not seem like it because you're like, oh, these houses have been sitting on the market forever. For sure. But it could be so much worse. And during the Great Recession, so 2008, builders stopped building. We saw that all across the nation, but it happened here in Oklahoma too. And Oklahoma is a very young state. 1907 is when Oklahoma became a state, and we really didn't have many people until 1889. That's when OU started, and that's when Norman became a town. So it's just like we didn't have a ton of time to do the developments. So that's what ends up going on there. So yeah, what happens? This is the next question that I have on my list. What happens to the Oklahoma economy when oil prices drop? Well, we are diversified. Remember, we are diversified. That is such a happy thing, such a great thing to be, because the boom towns in Western Oklahoma, when oil drops, they don't die completely, but it is bad. Like, people leave town, houses sit forever, and it's not as bad as it used to be because we have a more diversified economy, but it's not great. So the economy is not as dependent on a single sector. About 70% of companies actively consider relocating. Manufacturing. That's what I was getting at. Those 70% of the companies that are looking to relocate to this area are manufacturing, which is really, I found that, I mean, I knew it, but I didn't realize how many it was. And I see a lot more people going into manufacturing, and I think it's a great opportunity for our state, for sure. Um, all right. Tech scene. What is the tech scene like here? Or do people have to go to Austin? Austin is a huge tech city, whatever. So Oklahoma City is actually ranked 19th among the up and coming tech markets in North America. There's been a wage increase, and there's about 23,000 tech workers here in Oklahoma. 400 people. Oh my gosh, where's my brain at? 400 companies employing 30,000 people in high technology, information technology, and software development, located here in the Oklahoma City metro. Paycom is nationally recognized as a tech leader as well, like software development, cybersecurity, IT, hiring, things like that. So yes, is there a tech scene? Absolutely. Is it going to be Austin? No, it's not going to be Austin, but you also don't have to pay $800,000 for a house like you do in Austin. So yeah. So if you move to Oklahoma for a job, where should you actually live? Okay. This is what people ask me. Like, oh, I'm going to be working at the airport. I'm going to be working at, OU. I'm going to be working at Bosch, like whatever. So Bosch used to be York, which used to be Johnson Controls. So it's a big thing here. My my first piece of advice is think about the life that you want to lead. And in Oklahoma, you have some options. Like the walkability here is very limited. It is possible, but it is very limited. Um, we talked about Tinker Air Force Base and people living in Midwest City. There are other places around like Choctaw. Like I have people that love Choctaw, and there are a ton of new houses on an acre out in the country, and you can get to Tinker in 25 minutes. So they love it. Love that for them. There's also Del City, which has typically a bit lower of a house price on it. We see a lot of corporate people living in Edmond. Nichols Hills is a really nice area. Like, we love Nichols Hills. Nichols Hills is a town within Oklahoma City. They have their own like city services and everything. And the average price point is very high, but it's very nice. And then OU, people tend to live in Norman, but we also have people living in like Blanchard. I love Noble for so many people who are working in Norman specifically. I think that Noble is one of the best small town options that you can find. Like, it's so good. And the reason for that, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go on a Noble tangent for a second. So the reason for that is there's so much land. It's easily accessible to OU, whether you're working at OU or not. But that's like the core of Norman, is why I'm saying that. Like, OU is right in the center of it. So whether you're working there or somewhere else, like, it's a really great spot to be. Noble has a great little kind of culture to it. Like, kind of interesting. It's like I think it's 7,000 people. That might be a little too much. It might be less than that. I didn't look it up immediately before this, so I can't remember. And then they have lots of new houses. They have lots of old, cute houses. It's actually like, I hate to use the word walkable on it because it's not walkable, but it's not walkable for some things, depending on where you want to live. It's just a really cute spot with a lot of trees. I think that's one of the big things I really like about the town itself. So there are a lot of trees. Tech, Paycom, people are kind of working in Midtown. Midtown has taken off in Oklahoma City. It is a cool spot to be. I love Midtown. People, like, recently I had some people in town and they're like, oh, we're going to go hang out in Bricktown. And I was like, ugh, Bricktown is fine. I don't like it, to be honest. It's just very like commercially, but also like the clubs and the bars. It's not my scene. Midtown is super fun. Midtown is like, well, first of all, bookstores, fun. I do love a good bookstore. Harvey Bakery is one of my favorite places to go and hang out. I can walk around Midtown. They just closed one of the streets permanently to make it more walkable. There's condos everywhere. It's close to Heritage Hills, yes. And that's a older district that's historic and beautiful old houses. Like, I think it's lovely. So I love it. And then not usually, there is aerospace jobs, of course, here in Oklahoma City. There are a lot of aerospace jobs in Tulsa. So like growing up, I had friends, their dads and moms worked at American Airlines, which has like I think it's like a mechanic bay or maintenance bay there. I didn't look that up either. So yeah. And then really Tulsa is just as drivable as like Oklahoma City. So people will they'll drive as much as an hour into work. That is pretty common. So there's some really popular spots. One of those places is Owasso. That is in Rogers County. So it's like the next town over from Claremore, where I grew up. Claremore is a popular spot. I'm not moving back there, but you can totally move there. And then Broken Arrow's super popular. Jinx. These are all going to have varying price points for their housing, for sure. And then I get a lot of people that want to work remotely and live on land, and I think that's wonderful. I recently had someone move to basically Guthrie, but like South Guthrie, like Edmond, I think that's a great spot for people. Great internet, great roads into town for the most part. Sometimes you can get into Guthrie and it's not so much, but yeah. And then other places like Blanchard. Blanchard's so popular. You people love Blanchard. I love that for you guys. It's a great little town. But it's far from Oklahoma City. It's close to Norman. And then, like I said, Noble. I'm always going to be in love with Noble. So I think that you have to figure out what kind of life you want to lead. And you have to mix that with like how much you want to drive and what you want to do in your spare time. I hope this helps. The job market is diverse here in Oklahoma City, and I hope that I will see you soon. So let me give you this really quick. You can find my contact information in the description, and then I have this QR code. You can contact me from that as well. I will see you next time.